Stress. We all experience it. In fact, the Yerkes-Dodson law tells us we need a certain amount of stress to challenge us to perform our best. There are good stresses in our lives. A deadline can provide motivation to do work in a timely manner. Friendly competition can push us to grow. Weight-bearing exercise will help us to get stronger. Each of these stresses is good within limits. However, when we exceed those limits, we suffer physical, emotional, or spiritual injury. Stress becomes a problem when it is too great or it lasts too long. Like the materials tested by engineers, we reach our breaking point. Knowing this limit is helpful, but continually pushing that limit is dangerous. Burnout becomes more likely the longer we live near our breaking point. Do you know your limits? Where are your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual breaking points? Allow me to share 6 engineering terms for stress that serve as metaphors for ministry or leadership stress. Compression, force pressing down or in, which causes us to feel squeezed or trapped by work or ministry. It can come from having too many bosses, unrealistic expectations, or too much pressure to perform. We feel smaller, and eventually we are crushed or buckle under the pressure. People pleasers often suffer from this kind of stress. Tension, the stress of being pulled in 2 or more directions so that it feels like there's not enough of us to go around. We may feel like we need more hours or more energy or more compassion than we have available. Tension will make us feel stretched out and unable to bounce back. This type of stress can come from not saying no. It's a sign that we lack healthy margin in our lives. Shear, a single high-stress event that leaves one broken and unable to move on. Depending on the nature of this event, post-traumatic stress may become a reality. The trauma of shearing stress can linger for years if we don't get professional help. Bending, stress that pushes us beyond our normal tolerance levels and leaves us feeling permanently weakened. We will likely require additional support to recover from this stress. Chronic overworking, toxic work cultures, and people-pleasing are among the many sources of bending stress. Torsion, stress that twists us around and around. Deep misunderstanding or a sudden awareness of a leadership blind spot causes us to become disoriented and to feel like we need a new understanding of the situation or even the world in order to move on. And fatigue, prolonged stress that slowly wears us down until we break, usually in a catastrophic way. This allostatic load or continual weight becomes too much for too long. Even a light weight can become too heavy over time. This type of stress comes from a lack of healthy boundaries and restorative rest. Which of these stresses are you experiencing right now? Burnout happens when one or more of them exceed our capacity. The problem isn't in our weakness, but in our trying to have more strength than God has supplied. When we push beyond the threshold God has set, we burn out. The Weary Leader's Guide to Burnout will help you learn to find freedom by living within your limits.